Hi there, I'm life coach Kendall Hoeft, and I love helping you to explore your expression and your personal freedom, overcoming fears and perfectionism. And in this video, we're going to examine some of the messages that you received as a child that ingrained in you this sense of striving, this sense of perfectionism in your life and in your heart and in your mind and in your identity. So one message, and sort of a mixed message like many messages are, it has sort of a good component, but then there's also a dangerous, scary component. And this is the reach for the stars message, which starts off with a compliment and then it has a little hook to it. So it says, you are so talented, you are so gifted at the violin, you can't let that go to waste. So on one hand, it's affirming your ability, and that's great. But then it's, reach for the stars. You owe it to yourself. You owe it to your talents. And so there's this sense of obligation and burden placed upon us. And so that's where the striving and the perfectionism starts to come in. So you start to say, if my potential is unlimited, truly unlimited, that means that there's never a line of enough, like I did enough. How do I know if I ever practiced enough or made enough connections? Like how do I get to the place where I can rest is ultimately the question, because there is no rest in that unlimited striving like that. I go to the next rung of the ladder and I look up. My potential is unlimited. So I go to the next rung of the ladder and I look up. I'm always looking up and I never have that sense of fulfillment, that sense of celebration for the achievements and the successes that I've created. And in even the joy of my gifts. Sometimes this pressure and this burden and this obligation to do your best, whatever your best is, it can really suck out the pleasure and enjoyment and joy and happiness of, say, singing or dancing or playing your violin. Because it becomes about works and obligation and even a guilt or shame if you didn't do enough with your talents. And this is a message that we hear as children that often leads to perfectionist tendencies and workaholic tendencies. So, what have been the results of this message in your life? For me, I have had great success. I am driven. I am a high achiever, but I lack the contentment and the ability to truly enjoy everything that I've created for myself. So at that point, I would ask the question, what's the point? What's the point of it all if we can't celebrate or enjoy anything we have? We're just claiming all these things, but we're not, it's like no purpose. It's just like more work and labor just because that's what we're supposed to do and that's what everyone in the rat race is doing. Kind of over that. Kind of over just playing by the system's rules and by what society tells me I should or ought. See, should and ought, those are moralizing obligations. Those are in the genre of fear and control and shame and guilt and obligation, not in the genre of love and freedom. I mean, every moment we have the option to choose liberty or limitation, fear or joy, fear or love. So where are those limiting beliefs coming from? Well, if they're limiting, they're coming from fear. Because love is truly limitless in an expansive way that allows a person to rest and to be secure in who they are so that they don't have to be striving and they don't have to be achieving, to know that you are worthy, that you are enough right now, as you are right now. And that allows you the option to be still, to rest, and to know. Okay, so there are messages that may have pointed you towards perfectionism. I touched on these in a couple of my other videos. I'm going to go over them quickly now. The almost message. You're almost good enough. Keep working. Like, you almost got straight A's. You had that little A- in there. You had that B in there. You're almost there. Keep striving. That's a perfectionist mindset. The zero defects message. Do your best. In other words, do perfectly. Because there's no line, there's no capper on your best, which means you could always do better, which means when you finish something, your mind goes to criticizing and harshly judging yourself and kind of beating yourself up, or self-punishing behaviors as to what mistakes you made and how you should have known better, how you shouldn't be making careless mistakes. Do you hear all the shoulds in there? The shoulds, the oughts, the moral obligations. That's a real condemnational, critical, punishing perspective. That's not a loving perspective to have on yourself. When I talk about self-love, I'm talking about accepting ourselves and not being so harsh. You wouldn't talk that way to a child. You shouldn't, talk that way to another human being. And yet sometimes we think it's okay to treat ourselves poorly. And that's a lie. And that's a very sad mindset that you can and you get to break out of that. The idle hands message. It's unbiblical to sleep or to rest. So there's this deep-rooted fear of sloth, fear of laziness. And so we work all the time. And we achieve and we strive and we stay on the little rat race. That's fear, guys. That's not love. Love is heart. It is honest. It is joy-based. It is authentic. It's not obligatory. It's not like, oh, if I stop working so hard, if I just sit on the sofa for 5 minutes, like, I shouldn't have done that. I should have taken that time to fold laundry. I should have taken that time to study. I ought to have done my homework. You see how you're just berating yourself and you're not allowing yourself to be like, Christian perspective coming in. Here we go. God has rest for us. The Bible tells us in Matthew 11, and Jesus says, "Come to me, all you who are weary and burdened, and I will give you rest." It's actually reminding me of the Eleanor Roosevelt quote, "Give me your poor, your tired, your huddled masses yearning to breathe free." Love that quote too. Continuing in Matthew, "Take my yoke upon you and learn from me, for I am gentle and humble in heart." This is Jesus talking. If you don't know Jesus, this will tell you about him, that he's not vindictive and critical and harsh and judgmental and maybe those things that you thought he was, but he's actually gentle and humble in heart. And in him, you will find rest. You won't find more commands and demands. You won't find the punisher. You will find rest for your weary soul. And God is gentle and good, and he is not distant. He loves you so much. He loves me so much. And he wants us to love ourselves because he made us and he takes great pleasure in us and he rejoices in who you are. Yay! And we just covered the Reach for the Stars message. You're very talented, so you have to stay busy to reach all of your possible potential. So strive, because if you're really talented, you have multiple talents, so you have to you have to do it all, basically, which, as we know, is impossible. We have to have times of balance in our lives where certain gifts or talents are put on the back burner because it's simply not possible to do it all. And if we set ourselves up with this unreasonably high standard, then we set ourselves up to feel bad and to feel like we are failures and to feel like we are not enough, which isn't true. You are enough. So what are some of the messages that you received in your childhood that pointed towards perfectionism? One of the messages for me was to double check things. There was the sense that I had to triple check things. Like, I did not want to make a careless mistake because my grandpa always chided me for that and, criticized me for that. And whenever I would make a mistake, because I'm human, I got in trouble and I got blamed and shamed for that. So I avoided making a mistake. And that was another thing that turned me into a perfectionist. I'm not a perfectionist now. I just want to say that to you guys so that you feel a sense of hope and you know that it's totally possible to break out of this crap. I'm very at peace, truly at peace with the mistakes. I realize that imperfection is reality. It's truth, it's authenticity, and it's part of how and who we show up in the world. And I know that my doing doesn't affect my being, that what I do isn't the same as my who. And so even if I fail in the world standards, which, by the way, I've taken the word failure out of my vocabulary because I don't think it's possible to fail. I think every time you try something, you succeed. Every time you show up, you succeed. Every time you get out of bed, that's a success. Every time you find a way it doesn't work, that's a success. So examining your perspective on what success is really important, because a lot of us have this really high, unattainable standard of success, and that's just going to lead to disappointment and feelings of worthlessness in our life. I was unable to complete something, rest, and move on. I felt like if I submitted a paper, it's like, I should have read over that one more time. I should have re-edited it. I should have. And it's always the should have. I should have. And you're beating yourself up. It's really sad, you guys. Another message was plan ahead. Work out all the kinks. And so what this does, well, the last example I used, the double check things and then the inability to let things go and to move forward, that's being stuck in the past with regret and beating yourself up about any mistakes that you made. This next one, plan ahead, it's being stuck in the future with fear and worry and anxiety about possible negative outcomes. So I'm going to overplan the heck out of this thing because I can't have careless mistakes in my life. I'm going to work out all the kinks. And so this leads to compulsive worry in our life. In both ends of the spectrum, whether we're fixated on the mistakes of the past and we're beating ourselves up so that we learn from it and we do better, we'll never be able to do perfect, you guys. Or whether we're stuck in the future and we're already thinking through, well, I can't make a mistake. Why can't you make a mistake? Why can't you allow yourself to be human? And so I'm really asking you, something to think about. You know, in my life, it was because I got shamed and criticized when I made a mistake. And so I avoided that because to me, imperfection equaled pain. Imperfection equaled hurt and rejection and a lack of acceptance. And so I strove to avoid being hurt and being criticized and being shamed. I want to finish by just encouraging you guys that you are enough, and let's practice the celebration of not only everything that we've done so far, because we've all done so much, and how much time did we sit back and like cheers ourselves like, whoa, look at this, like I did this, I got a college degree, I have 3 kids, whatever. There's so much that you can be grateful for and really enjoy and appreciate and pat yourself on the back very lovingly, and celebrate and accept yourself. And then working into, see, that's the old perfectionism lingo, working at resting. Why don't you strive to rest today? Keep striving at resting. Sometimes my old perfectionism rears its ugly head. Allowing yourself to rest, giving yourself permission to just be, to just exist in this moment. To know that you're okay, and you're valuable, and you're good, you're beautiful. You're beautiful when you're doing things, and you're beautiful when you're sitting on your butt on your sofa. You're just as beautiful in both scenarios. Your identity doesn't change. I'm going to continue to make some more videos on this series about overcoming and understanding perfectionism. If you're on my YouTube channel, I encourage you to subscribe to my channel so that you can get notifications about all my future videos. And of course, you're welcome to like and comment below. I love to interact with you. And I thank you for watching this video, for tuning in, for being part of the magic that we're creating together. Hope and freedom. Namaste.